Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I will tell you the story of echoes from the edge of time. Once upon a time, in the old district of Bab el Rama, also known as the Gate of Mercy, in the ancient city of Fez in Morocco, the buildings leaned like old beggars and the wind whistled through the alleys as if whispering secrets from the past. Tucked away in a corner was a tiny shop. There wasn't a sign or lights, only a symbol above the door, an hourglass cracked in two. Everyone in the neighborhood knew the story of the shop and the boy who vanished inside it. His name was Hassan, the grandson of the last clockmaker in that cursed quarter. It all began on the 7th night of Muharram, the first month of the Islamic calendar, when Hassan returned from university in Rabi to check on his sick grandfather, the old man known simply as Sheikh Fadl. The frail figure sat in the back of the shop surrounded by cobwebs and the scent of rust, eyes fixed on a peculiar clock, a giant rusted antique wallpiece that ticked backwards. Locals said Fadl had once made a pact, not with genies, but with time itself. Hassan entered and immediately felt wrong. Not afraid, not sad, just wrong. Like he had walked into someone else's memory. The air was thick with the scent of dust and something else, something metallic like old blood. The walls seemed to lean closer, watching him. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched, not from outside, but from within the shop's four walls. In the back room, amidst the clutter of broken timepieces, grandfather clocks frozen mid-tick sundials that tracked a forgotten sun, hourglasses sealed in wax. He saw it again, the source of the wrongness. A small brass pocket watch hung above the mirror covered in black fabric. The old man finally spoke, just one sentence, hoarse and brittle. "If you wind it, you'll hear them." That night, Hassan returned alone. Curiosity gnawed at him. He picked up the pocket watch, turned the dial. Click, tick, tick, tick. Then the voice. Not from the watch, from the mirror behind it. He shouldn't have opened the door. "They're coming now." Startled, Hassan stepped back. The black cloth fluttered without wind, and the old man's voice whispered again, "Turn it back, quick, before what?" What was coming? Fear jolted him into action. He wound the watch backwards, hoping to stop whatever was about to happen. But the damage was done. From the mirror, Hassan watched himself turn away, leaving the shop and the ticking watch behind. But as he fled, he heard them. Voices, whispers slithering between the seconds of the reversed timepiece. He ran until his lungs burned, but they followed. He shouldn't have opened the door. Their whispers echoed his fear. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the window of his room, chasing away the shadows of the night before. But the whispers remained. They slithered in his ears, taunted him. Were they real or figments of his fear-addled brain? He tried to tell his friend Karim about the whispers about the shop, but the words caught in his throat. How could he explain what he couldn't understand himself? Later that day, Hassan stood before the cracked mirror in his bathroom. His reflection stared back, trapped behind the glass. Gazing into his own eyes, he saw not fear, but determination. He would go back. He had to know what those whispers meant, who they belonged to. But when he returned to the shop, it was as if the previous night had been a dream. The pocket watch lay on the table, still ticking, its hands frozen at 11:23. The mirror had reset itself, the fractured shards sealed, the shop untouched, as if nobody had entered it. Yet when Hassan touched the pocket watch, he felt the remnants of the previous night, the icy fingers of fear still clinging to his heart. Days turned into weeks, the whispers into a constant hum in Hassan's head. Sleep offered no escape. Even in dreams, he heard them calling. One night, driven by a force beyond his control, Hassan returned to the shop. He didn't know why, but he had to wind the pocket watch. Again, click, tick, tick. The voices grew louder, slithering from the mirror, coiling around him, cold as snakes. "We're here now," they hissed. "Let us in." Hassan stumbled back, his foot catching on a loose floorboard. As he fell, the pocket watch flew from his hand, clattering to the floor. It landed on the mirror, the hands aligning perfectly with a cracked seam. The glass shattered, sucking him in. In a world of fractured time, Hassan found himself both inside and outside the mirror, in the shop and yet somewhere else, a place older than time itself. Around him, wisps of memories danced, faces from forgotten eras, whispers from dead languages. Who were these echoes from the edge of time? Why did they want him? What did they mean when they spoke of opening doors? One figure detached from the swirling echoes, stepping forward. She wore robes adorned with stars, her face hidden behind a silver veil. Her voice resonated with the wisdom of ages. "You seek answers," she said, extending a gloved hand. "But first, choose. Do you wish to be the vessel?" As her touch grazed his arm, visions flooded Hassan's mind. Images of a universe in chaos, time unraveling, swallowed by an endless abyss. If he accepted, he would become the anchor, the focal point of the echo's power. But at what cost? Would he cease to exist? Would he become a new vessel? A new mouth through which the echoes would speak? In the midst of the chaos, a familiar face emerged. His grandfather, Sheikh Fadl. He was younger then, his eyes bright with purpose, not the hollowed-out husk Hassan had known in his final days. "Stop," Fadl urged, reaching out. "There is another way." The figure in silver turned, her gaze piercing. "So the bloodline continues." "Very well, Hassan, your choice." Fadl stepped forward, his voice echoing with power. "I choose knowledge. Let me bear the burden." In that instant, the choice rippled through the fractured time. Hassan found himself pulled back to the mirror. The world twisted, then solidified. He stood in the shop, sunlight streaming through the window, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. The pocket watch lay on the table, silent, its hands frozen. Outside, the sounds of the city rose, the call to prayer from a nearby mosque, children's laughter echoing in the narrow streets. But in the shop, there was only silence. Hassan's heart pounded against his ribs, his breath catching in his throat. He was back, but nothing was the same. Fadl stood beside him, his eyes shining with newfound strength. "Knowledge is power," he whispered, his voice hoarse but steady. "And power comes with responsibility. You must hide the watch." Together, they buried the pocket watch beneath the floorboards, sealing it with a stone slab, hiding any trace of its existence. Fadl then disappeared. Hassan never saw him again. Years passed. Hassan carried the burden of his choice, haunted by fragmented memories and the whispers that echoed on the edges of his hearing. He dedicated his life to understanding the nature of time, driven by a thirst for knowledge. Then one day, he heard a knock on his shop door. A young woman stood there, her eyes shining with curiosity. "They say you know about time," she said. "I need your help. My grandfather is fading. I want to hear his stories one last time." As Hassan led her into his shop, he saw a brass pocket watch glinting in the corner. A young girl stood there, holding it open, her eyes wide with wonder. "I found it," she exclaimed. "Can I wind it?" In that moment, Hassan's heart skipped a beat. He knew the danger, the allure of the fractured time, but he also understood the girl's innocent curiosity. "Be careful," he warned. "But yes, you can wind it." When the girl turned the key, a smile lit up her face. "Look, Grandpa, it's working. You're getting better." Tears welled up in Hassan's eyes as he realized the true nature of his gift. Knowledge was indeed power, but its purpose transcended his own journey. He was meant to guide others through the labyrinth of time, to ensure the echoes from the edge of time served a greater purpose. With a newfound clarity, Hassan stepped forward, ready to share his burden, to teach the young girl how to navigate the treacherous waters of fractured time. The girl turned to him, her eyes shining with gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered, "for helping my grandfather." In that moment, Hassan knew his journey had just begun. He had a responsibility to safeguard the balance of time, to protect the boundaries between past, present, and future. As long as the echoes from the edge of time whispered, he would be there to listen, to guide, and to protect. And so the story ends, not with a finality, but with a promise of continued echo. Thank you for listening to the story of Echoes from the Edge of Time. Please leave a comment below. Until next time.